So this is an inflection point. It kind of depends on how a new player has been brought along. If it was me and my buddy and we were doing all this stuff at the house with a couple other friends over a couple of beers or some iced tea or whatever, they might allow me to do what I'm going to describe in a minute and waste basically an afternoon doing some card exchanges and some mock bidding before we actually try to play a rubber. If you happen to be in a class, you just follow the instructor's lead at this point and do whatever they want you to do. In the case of Jeff Bayonne's Taste of Bridge, you were already playing cards, both no trump and in trump contracts, before you ever learned scoring. That's kind of rare though, although it's probably the best way to teach. But let's assume that we don't have all those luxuries and we are where we are, and my buddies decided that they don't want to come over and play anymore. They're bored. So we got to do something. At this point, I'd probably take you down to the local duplicate club and have you watch for a while, which is what we call kibitzing. And by knowing how to score and having a general knowledge of the game, which you learned to this point, you ought to be able to kind of follow what's going on. And then as soon as possible, I would throw you into the beginner game if they have one. If they don't have a beginner or starter or newcomer game at the club because it's just too small to break things down like that, I'd probably sit down and play with you, and we'd be in flight A, more than likely, which doesn't mean anything to you, but just means that we're going to be playing against some sharks that have been playing for 40 years. Probably beat them, because one of the things that happens with new players is that you tend to get ridiculously high scores against long-term competent players because they read things into what you're doing that aren't there. You have no idea, but they act as though you have. So it's always a good idea to tell these folks that you're new. And first of all, if they have any intention of having bad deportment, which is simply not allowed, by the way, in clubs these days. Used to be all over the place back in the day. But they'll be on their best behavior. And the only part that you're going to have to watch out for is they might start giving you lessons, which is death to a new player, to have players give you lessons at the table. That's my job if I'm sitting down with you and teaching you. It's not theirs, because I'm going to teach you at your skill level and in a progression that makes sense. So we're going to assume that we didn't have the capacity to play rubber bridge anymore because my buddies got bored, and we're going to start right into duplicate bridge at the club. And you're going to notice that the scoring is a little different, because all those games and bonuses and slams and all that kind of stuff get built into the scores. But I'm going to show you at the end of this video, before we start into the next one, that the scores can be seen readily on the back of your bidding box card. And if you're in a club in 2024 in the United States, you're playing with bidding boxes. I don't know of any club that's a ACBL sanctioned duplicate club that awards master points that doesn't use bidding boxes. They're just normal. So just look at the back of the card, it'll give you the score in case you forget. So anyway, that's what we would do. We jump right into a duplicate club, and I'd probably want you to watch at least one afternoon session. And if you're anything like me, you would say, after about half of it, how come I'm not playing? But we'll play next time. Maybe we'll get you in a beginner game with a... Oh, by the way, there could be supervised play games, which are just dynamite. That's where you get very few actual boards to play, but there's an instructor there that will answer questions about each one of the boards. By the way, a board is a set of 4 hands. It's one deal. And so deals, boards, synonymous. And you'll see in a little while. But at any rate, that's where we're going to go. We're going to go to the club and we'll start talking about duplicate scoring. Oh, one other thing. There is another type of rubber bridge called Chicago or 4-deal bridge. We're going to save that till the very end of this playlist because it's a hybrid form and there's a couple of different kinds and it gets real confusing at first. And so it's helpful to know both We/They rubber and duplicate kind of scoring before you actually look at Cavendish or Chicago 4-deal bridge. And we'll talk about that way at the end of all this. So here we go. Let's start into our videos on scoring at duplicate and how to play duplicate and what's it all about. Oops, I just noticed I forgot. I told you I was going to explain how you can do the handing across method for basically starting out and how to decide whether you're in a no trump or a suit contract and that sort of thing. After you've dealt out 13 cards to everybody, then just have the 2 partnerships each with each other look at their hand and then exchange hands with their partner. And so you look at your partner's hand and then you kind of put them both out together and say, well, are our hands together more suitable for trump play or for no trump, or for suit play? Trump play is suit play, or for no trump play. And if they're kind of balanced and you don't have a real good joinder of like mostly spades in your hand and mostly spades in your partner's hand so that you can play a spades contract, they're just kind of all mixed up, then probably you want to say, let's play no trump, partner. If on the other hand you find an 8-card or longer fit, which is 4 cards in your hand, 4 cards in partner's hand, 5 in his, 3 in yours, however it works, that's called a fit. And you find that, and especially if there's shortness, like a singleton, that means just 1 card, or doubleton, that means 2 cards in the suit, in a side suit, where there might be some potential that your trumps could be used to trump, to rough in, then you kind of want to have play in that suit. So you say, let's play in diamonds, partner, or let's play in spades, partner. And then you can actually have a contest between the 2 sides, and you could say, well, we would like to play in a spade contract, and they say, well, we'd like to play in a diamond contract. You say, well, you have to bid 2 diamonds then because spades outrank diamonds, and therefore we can get away with playing in 1 spade, but since you want to play in diamonds, you got to play in 2. And if you wanted to play in, if we said no, we want the contract, then we'd have to bid 2 spades, 3 diamonds, and one of us would get tired eventually and say, we give up, we don't want to go down. So then whoever won that would actually play the contract. We give the cards back. Everybody have the cards they started with. The dealer would raise his hand and the opening leader would be the guy to the dealer's left, and we just play the hand. Do that a few times, just kind of get out a feel for it, and start scoring it and see if you can score games and maybe even rubbers and that sort of thing. Just have fun with it, and you just do that for an afternoon and you got it. And that's kind of a way to transition into playing actual rubber bridge. Thought I'd throw that in just in case you like it.